G'day legends, it's Tiramisu Tuesday and I'm legit dropping this video. Let's get into it. Tony Ferguson is 0-7 in his last 7 fights in the UFC and no one has ever lost 8 in a row, ever. Tony Ferguson is starting his 5-fight title run win streak this weekend at UFC Abu Dhabi, the only region in the world that seems to be able to put together decent fight nights for some reason. The boogeyman's back, and I'm excited. Here we go. The guy we all love, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Now I get it. I get why there's some people out there that won't be picking Tony. He's as old as time itself. Some say he's older than the UFC. He's gotten slow. The shots that he does land don't have the same sting on them anymore because his bones are brittle and full of arthritis. His takedown defense has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse. He was so comfortable on bottom positions and was able to dominate from down there that now he just accepts bottom positions no matter what. His urge to get up is absolutely zero. He's in a weight class above him, against a guy whose wrestling and jiu-jitsu is probably better than Tony Ferguson's. There is literally no logical way that Tony Ferguson can win this fight. He's old, he has no muscle, his striking has completely fallen off a cliff. His entire ground game is to throw old elbows from the bottom and try and latch up a triangle from the bottom position, which does not work in high level MMA. We are quite literally describing here a LFA level fighter and a bottom level LFA fighter. But what you're missing, my friends, here is the vibe. The vibe of this fight is 100% in Tony Ferguson's direction. If you're not picking Tony Ferguson in this fight, that's because you're a new age, post-2020 casual fan. You're probably not even going to watch this one live. If you're not picking Tony to win this fight, it's because you don't have an old tap-out beanie in the closet. When people ask you to name your top 5 fighters of all time, you probably don't even put Fedor Emelianenko in your list because you're a new fan casual. For the old heads that still have faith, this is Tony time, okay? We've moved past the disappointment era of Tony Ferguson. We've moved past the longest losing streak in UFC here. Who cares about that anymore? We've moved past the meme era of having David Goggins in your corner and giving you literally no coaching advice. We've moved past he looked good against Michael Chandler for 30 seconds cope era of our fandom. There's nothing left for Tony. Nothing left. We have tapped the well dry. We are now in the black darkness of the burnt out empire that is Tony Land. There is nothing left here except decay and desolation. And in that barren desert that is our love for Tony Ferguson, the only thing that can happen now is for the sun to rise. Like Tony will rise, like a phoenix from the ashes, to end his truly horrible career on a positive note. It's time for the Mexican eagle to peck off its feathers, covered in blood, smash its beak against the rocks, grow a new beak, claw its talons against the cliff into raw, bloody nubs, and regrow them like the claws of Wolverine, and rise. Tony Ferguson is going to beat the piss out of Michael Chiesa this weekend. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa was originally scheduled to happen 420 weeks ago. That means Michael has been scared of Tony for almost his entire career. He never wanted to take him on in his prime, and that fear has been building for years. Tony's gone old school for this one. He's gone back to the throw sand at him team, because he knows that there's an old vet that's been ducking him for so long. Tony's gone all the way back to 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with Eddie Bravo. And over at 10th Planet, the earth might be flat, but their jiu-jitsu isn't, mate. I'm so confident that Tony is going to get back on the win streak in this fight. I might get back onto sports betting. I might put the entire airline ticket price for my trip to America on Tony Ferguson. And I'll be flying first class with my feet up in the air, cheersing to T. Ferg El Cucuy once again. Michael Chiesa has been scared of Tony Ferguson and scared of losing his career because once Michael Chiesa goes, he is going to disappear into mediocrity. But Tony Ferguson is going to live on as legend, as the fight that never happened with Khabib and the greatest losing streak of all time, eventually getting redemption and putting Michael Chiesa into a dash choke and then marching forward with the rest of his career and submitting Islam Makhachev in December of 2025 and finally raising the lightweight belt over his head. Look at how much people are riding Paddy Ferguson now, right? You know, but going into the Paddy Ferguson, look how much people are riding Paddy Pimblett now. Going into the fight, when the fight was originally announced with Bobby Green, people were talking about how trash Paddy Pimblett was, how trash he was, and then Guru started running defense for him about the broken foot reminders in the Jared Gordon fight. Well, now everyone's singing the praises of Paddy Pimblett, and Tony Ferguson survived that onslaught. That Tony Ferguson is still in there. And Michael Chiesa is levels below Paddy Pimblett. Tony won't have the best coach in the world, David Goggins, in his corner anymore, but he is going to have the GOAT, Eddie Bravo. And the Tony Ferguson that had the guts to stand in there with Pimblett and not get finished. And the Tony Ferguson that could beat up Michael Chandler, mixed in with give me some sand Eddie Bravo, is ending Michael Chiesa this weekend. This is it, boys. It's Tony time. I don't want to see any prediction videos this week without Tony Ferguson being the pick. We're 100% on board. Let me know down there in the comments, what round does Tony Ferguson get his Darts choke in? First, second, or the third? Put it down there in the comments, a 1, 2, or a 3. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like to help this channel push out and grow its audience. And until then, I will see you all in the next video.